Hey guys, welcome back to the Patti Martin Real Estate Group YouTube channel. Today we are actually joined with the presence of Patti Martin herself. Welcome, Patti. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you, Adam. Thank you.
Today we're going to be talking about the January 2023 stats. We're going to start off with sales, get into new listings, get into total number of inventory and what it actually means for the market. Is this a completely abnormal market? And we'll just kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the best possible way to buy and sell in this type of market. So I'm going to be looking over at some notes here, but to start off, the total number of sales in January 2023 was 1,022 units. And now this is where it's kind of sensationalized by the board. This is a 55% drop in sales from January 2022. Patti, should we be concerned with this, or do you think this is just comparing one month to another month and it really just means nothing?
Well, first up, there's not that many homes to buy. So, I mean, we just had a reasonably priced townhouse on the market for, that should have had some interest. But we had 9 offers. There's just not that much to buy. So it's hard to have more sales if there's not enough inventory.
That's absolutely right. And when we get into the percentage decrease from last month, so we're going from December 2022 to January 2023, it was only a 20% decrease.
In inventory or the sales?
No, in sales, in number of sales. So
Yeah.
when we look at the total number of sales in January, we're at 1,022. The last time it was around this value range was in December 2018. We had 1,078 sales. And then in January 2019, we had 1,100 sales. So we're hovering around that, 1,100-ish mark. So we're not that far off. So when the board says, there's a 55% decrease in sales year over year, is this really a catastrophic decrease in sales and activity, or is this more of we're getting back to normal? Because real estate, instead of being so short term, we're kind of looking at it at a wider spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say we're getting back to normal. We still have a fairly active market for buyers given the interest rate right now. Like, it is an all-time high for many people. Many people have never seen this high an interest rate, the new young buyers. Us old folks have, but that's a whole different story.
No, you're right. I mean, I've been on a couple buyer tours, and there's a lineup of buyers to get into the home.
Mm-hmm. So it's an unusual market. It is an unusual market. Not very much inventory, high interest rates, and higher buyer demand, I guess, as a result of that. Not that much inventory. That could change really quickly if the inventory suddenly appeared, and that can happen.
Yeah. If we have a massive dump of inventory, then I would see the market actually slowing down and buyers taking their time to, do their due diligence and actually look at a few homes and then make their offers. Right now, they're still kind of pushed to make an offer because there's still not that much out there. But when we get into inventory, so this is an interesting thing that I wanted to bring up. The new listings. So there's just under 3,300 new listings on the MLS in Metro Vancouver in January 2023. This is a 21% drop from January 2022. So last year, we had more listings. Okay. Is it normal that we have so few listings in December, January, February?
So December, yes, because people, holidays are coming, and that's when people often want their listings off the market. So to see a major decrease in inventory in December is never a surprise. Coming into the new year, I would say we're slower than I would have anticipated in terms of inventory appearing. And that's what's keeping the market stable. So if you're a seller right now and you're thinking of selling this year, I'd get your house ready. I mean, you want to be doing what everyone else isn't doing.
Yeah, you kind of want to beat that rush. You kind of want to beat that rush in the market. Now, this is the interesting point. Like the market is still very pocketed. Like you can see some areas that are quite active and some types of houses that are very quite active over others. But in general, when we're looking at Metro Vancouver, since December 2022, so 35 days ago, the increase in new listings has increased 173%. So, somebody who's not in real estate, who doesn't have 10-year forecast of stats, they go, oh my goodness, there is 173 new listings to the market. So all they're seeing is sales down 55%. That's staggering. New listings up 173%. That's astronomical. When you look at those economic indicators, you think high inventory, low demand. You think prices are just going to fall to the bottom and, it's going to be a complete collapse. I'm going to post a graph on YouTube here, and it's very interesting to see what happens when you look at a 10-year trend. And the trend of new listings, so coming from December into January, it looks like a heartbeat. So December up into spring, you have a big spike. Then spring into summer, you have a small little decline. Then spring or summer into fall, you have another little spike, and then it drops down again. So if I go back historically, these numbers really put the market into perspective. December 2021 to January 2022, so a year ago, new listings, we went up 110% going into January 2022. Okay. December 2018 to January 2019, we went up 98% in new listings. I'm going to go back 10 years. So December 2013 to January 2014, we went up in new listings month over month, 185%.
Wow.
So again, like when I look back at all the inventory and all the sales, we came off a very hot market, COVID 2021. There were a ton of sales. There was a lot of new listings, and now things have slid down. But when we look at it on a wider spectrum, these are right in line with your typical norms.
Yeah. I mean, to compare new listing inventory from December to January, it's not really that significant. As I said, people take their place off the market. Some of that inventory, that new inventory, is just recycled inventory from December that came off the market and is coming back on.
Yep, totally. And when we skip down over to the total number of listings on the MLS, so in Metro Vancouver, on the MLS in Metro Vancouver, there's just under 7,500 listings. So this is a 32% increase compared to January 2022. So a year ago, which had about 5,600 listings. So when we're starting off the year this year, we have 1,800 new listings.
More. 1,800 more listings.
1,800 more listings, correct.
But that's interesting because that would be, I'd be curious as to how that broke down into areas. I know Richmond, where we are, primarily, is quite low in comparison to the past few years. And so, and it's not rising fast.
No, it's not. Let's get into that one in a second. Let's talk kind of some buyer and seller activity and kind of the rationale for delaying. The last comment I want to make about inventory is that January 2022, again, when we're looking back 10 years ago, it was a 10-year low. The last time we had inventory around the 7,000, 7,500 mark was 2016. We started off the year with 7,800, approximately 7,800. And in 2018, we started off the year at 7,650 listings. So starting the year off at pretty close to 7,500 listings, it's not abnormal. It's low, but it's not, doom and gloom. There's, the listing, like, again, when you read the stats, it looks like there's more than there actually is. 7,500 listings is not a lot.
No, it's not.
So what does this mean for let's take sellers first. What does this mean for sellers when you're coming into a market, you're almost returning to typical inventory levels?
But it's really pocketed. So it depends on which price bracket, because there's certain price brackets that are absolutely starved of inventory and are, we're seeing huge activity because there's nothing to choose from. And then we're seeing an abundance of listings in other price brackets, higher price brackets in particular, where the inventory is not moving very quickly at all.
So what would be your tip to a seller?
The tip to the seller is check what kind of competition you have right now. And if there isn't any and you plan on selling this year, get ready sooner than later.
Yeah, get your house on the market.
Yeah, because we know for sure, we know for sure there will be more inventory in the future. We just don't know.
Yeah.
We just don't know the day. But we've been riding a low inventory bus for over a year. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time before that changes.
Do you think we've kind of been riding that bus just because of the high interest rate and sellers are kind of putting off that next move? Or do you think they're not getting top dollar? Like, where do you think that rationale comes in for a lot of sellers?
I think the low inventory started as we were sort of coming out of COVID, right? We had such a busy market. It was safe to buy or sell. We couldn't do much else. So let's buy or sell a house. It's safe. Everybody wears a mask. Only one people in at a time. I mean, it was all very civilized. Then we came out of it and we had other things to do. So sellers were staying put and buyers were like, okay. And the interest rate, it was good, but it wasn't as active. Interest rate was still low, right? So nobody felt any big concern about going anywhere. They were already settled. But coming into where things are changing and people will start to be affected by that interest rate more profoundly because they'll have to renegotiate their financing, there will be changes. There will be people that will need to change or want to change for financial reasons.
Yep, definitely. When we're talking to buyers, or even on some of our listings, like when we can see kind of buyers' activity, we can see their interest level, we can hear what they're saying out there. What would you recommend to buyers that are looking to get into this type of market? Like we still have typically low or atypically low inventory. Sales are starting to climb, but right now in January, sales in January are down. Is this something that buyers should take into account? Like, should they sit on the sidelines or should they jump into this type of a market?
So timing a market is such a wonderful dream and it's never a reality. Only one person ever sells at the top or buys at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, it's a dangerous game if you really are trying to buy in. We know that there's a lot of immigration still to happen in our area, and we know that people are still coming. And the one thing that we have is because of the higher interest rates, we do have a slower reaction to a good listing. So there's time to make a decision. I mean, when we had 2.5% interest rate, some people bought a house they didn't really like just to use the interest rate.
Yeah.
And now we have higher interest rates, but we have time to pick a house that we really like.
Yeah, so a buyer has the chance to actually do their due diligence and get themselves in a position to make a smart decision, but that is also a decision out of protection as well. Like they can actually have an inspection.
Right, and it's easier to renegotiate a mortgage or to take a short-term mortgage and change your rate when the rates change and go down. And we know they're likely to do that, not imminently, but sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Than to actually sell your house and move.
Yeah, I think a lot of buyers forget that aspect there, that they can get the house that they want. And then when rates start going down and buyer demand goes up, now they're not competing with, 10 other buyers.
Right.
Talking to the bank, and the bank goes, okay, well, rates are down, so your rate is now down by default.
Yeah. I mean, think of the buyers you're working with right now, Adam, right? Like, a year and a half, 2 years ago, how many times did you work with a buyer when they lost out in a multiple offer?
It happened a lot.
A lot.
It happened a lot. It happened a lot to
A lot.
everybody. I mean, it
And
happened
everybody, and
mostly.
I can remember people telling me stories of their buyers losing 10 times
Yeah,
and them trying to keep their buyer together
yeah. I mean,
to get them a house.
yeah. It almost becomes futile when houses are put up on a Monday and sold by a Thursday.
Right. And that's not
You just run
not
into
the
this
typical.
buyer fatigue. That's like, forget it.
Yeah.
You have
And
less of
it's
that
not
time.
what's happening right now. There's still some multiple offers, but not to the same degree. And so buyers are, they have a chance to be thoughtful about their purchase, and they can still, the interest rate, I mean, when I started in the industry, the interest rate was 13.5%.
Oh dear.
And we never thought anything about it.
Oh dear.
It's no big deal.
The one thing I am seeing, like when I am touring with buyers, or even like when we have our own listings, there are buyers at the door. There are buyers coming to our open houses. There are people putting in offers. I had two clients this weekend where we're looking at homes and I want to go set up a tour. And on the MLS, I'm like, okay, great. There's 10 properties to choose from. All of a sudden I start calling, accepted offer, subject removals in a couple of days, accepted offer. So the market is actually a lot more active than what this news release from the
Yeah,
board.
the numbers, these numbers don't show, but they ever? Like, because
Yeah,
the numbers are always a month behind, right?
that's
So,
just it, right? When you're boots on the ground and you're talking face to face with sellers and taking buyers out and you're seeing other agents and lineups at open houses, you get a sense of where the market is going. So right now with my buyers, I'm like, there's not a lot to see. And we're calling old expired listings. We're calling terminated listings. We're trying to get our foot in the door. Whether or not those people want to sell is up to them, but we're now waiting for listings to come out. But then so is every other buyer.
yeah,
But now flip that for a second
to the seller.
to the seller.
Yeah.
So the seller knows they're new to market. There's going to be this pool of buyers that's ready to get to see your house right away. So if you
Yeah, I mean,
sharply,
it's and it is a good time for sellers if the seller is realistic about what the price is. Because if we count inventory that's not properly priced in the equation, it sounds like there's a lot of inventory. But if we isolate to true market value, which, we as professionals should be able to determine fairly accurately,
yeah,
not 100%, because, there's always emotion involved in a purchase, and people might pay a little bit extra here or there because of that. But we should be able to determine it fairly accurately. There's a lot of very overpriced listings right now.
yeah, there are. So do your due diligence is the message.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you're a seller and you really want to sell, I think there's a chance that you're going to get a little bit extra right now because of that, because there's not much to choose from that is priced correctly. And there is enough demand out there. So, you might benefit from, I'm not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, but certainly it could benefit you.
Totally. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about for the stats, or how buyers and sellers should kind of act going forward, how quickly they should act, or
Well, as I said, I always think real estate should be on your time. Like it works best if it's really just what's working for you. And if you're buying and selling in any market, it doesn't matter how high or low it is if you're just transferring your funds somewhere else to the same market. So, but I think it is for sellers. I think this will probably be the better time to maximize your dollars. For buyers, unless you're gonna have to watch for things, you're gonna have to be ready. The inventory probably will dribble out and start to get a bit better in the next month or so, I think.
yeah, as we reach into a spring market.
Yeah.
Well, that would follow the typical path of the graph that we showed
Yeah.
earlier on the screen.
Yeah.
So that's good news for buyers that there's more inventory. Sellers, price your homes accordingly, and you should be You should be fine.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up. So thank you so much for joining your own show.
Yeah. No problem.
Um, if you guys
Anytime.
want
Call
to,
me.
yeah, if you guys want to get in touch with anyone here at the Patty Martin team, Patty herself or myself, click the link in the description below. We'd love to chat.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, Patty. We'll see you next time.